Happy Comic-Con.
Happy Comic-Con to you. Are you having fun?
How was it today? Are you going to be doing back to the Twin Peaks episode or what?
Back to the Twin Peaks episode. I wish. I'm going to admit something to you guys. I, along with some of my creative cohorts, have a great fear of not being able to live up to the first installment of the Twin Peaks episode. And there are times where you just have to sort of say, you know what, when you get it right, you should walk away. And I think that's probably what's going to happen with Twin Peaks. We can't top it.
So what's next big get for you on that?
Probably Clue. Yeah. I know there are a lot of Clue fans out there, and it seems like a pretty fun playground for us. We may or may not have had the face of that movie on our show once already, and we may or may not be able to work him back in, so it seems like the stage is set pretty well.
Are you going into the board games kind of phase in the next season?
Clue is a movie. It was a board game first, but then it was a movie. I think we're better at doing movies.
You don't want to tackle the board game?
Yeah, well, you know, if we last long enough, we may not have a choice. Yeah, we'll have to tackle everything.
Is that going to be complete with multiple possible endings to the episode? And
I think you might be onto something. Yeah. Or a beautiful mess.
Basically, do they invite you to the writer's room and ask you to pitch ideas and you say, here you go, write it out?
You know, I'm not in there down here, we're up there, so I only really get to hang out with those guys before the season starts. And it's kind of just a big cauldron of ideas. And then there's a lot of feedback that goes back and forth, and then when I land on something that I want to work on, I usually team up with somebody because it takes a little bit of the load off of me. And then there's just a lot of emailing that happens. A lot of emailing.
Are you guys already shooting the next season?
We're 10 in the can. Yeah, we're more than halfway home. Woo! Now, usually we premiere in the summer. This year we're premiering in the fall, so we'll actually be finished before the first episode ends.
Anything you can tell us about what we're seeing?
Yeah, as usual, we're doing several theme episodes covering ground that we haven't covered yet, which this season means superheroes, and which I think is a pretty popular subject here at the con. We're doing vampires this year.
Awesome.
A little bit zombie action too?
I think zombie might be the next horror thing that we go to, but that might have to be season 7.
Vampires, werewolves, and zombies?
Knocked off werewolves, knocked off vampires, it's the next logical place to go. We sort of did our version of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We did The Hangover, but not really The Hangover. It's the Psych over, I guess you'd call it. Very, very funny episode. We have sort of like a life cult episode. Gus sort of gets caught up in the philosophy of throwing away all of your material belongings and going and living on a farm kind of thing. The Return of Despero. I think we're going to close that out as a trilogy. And then, you know, The Big Fish got William Shatner playing Juliet's dad.
You guys take it to the next level, Dad?
I don't know if we can top that. We took it all the way to the top. We took it to the penthouse on that one.
What about the relationship when you talk about Sean and Julia?
Yeah, you know, we sort of put them together there at the end of 5. And now we have the weekly challenge of figuring out what that means exactly. I think for me it's the fact that all these people sort of found each other and managed to sustain sort of the magic that got the show started in the first place. It's just surreal to me that we're just 6 years in now. And I have as much fun, you know, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day as I did when I was on the pilot. So I guess for me it's just the magic of of being able to sustain something that seemed unsustainable is my favorite part. And it's hats off to my castmates, and our writers, and our producers, and our crew, because I think, you know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we're having right now. I mean, we'll do other shows, and we've done other shows, but Psych's a really special one.
Is Sean's secret skill going to stay a secret, or is it going to come out the truth?
That's a tough question, you know? We teased it a little bit at our panel, but
we didn't get to see the panel.
The stakes are higher, say that. Now that he's in the relationship with Juliet, and he's essentially every day that passes is another day that he's lying. Yeah, it's going to become a bigger thing, I think. I don't know how I don't know how it gets resolved, but it's a bigger thing.
Do you not know, or are you just not telling us?
You know what? I don't know. It's tough for me to think more than like one episode ahead. But I'm sure Steve has something in mind.
Can you talk about, have you directed this?
I did Vampires, and I'll be doing Clue as well. And I'm hopeful that Clue comes together.
So was that one of your, like, this is one of those things I wanted to...
Vampires was. Clue was actually an idea that the studio and the network came to us with, which is rare, which is why you immediately say yes. You don't say no to the hand that feeds you. But it was a good idea. It was a fun idea. It was a way to become interactive with the fans for the first time with an episode. So like I said, it's kind of an experiment, and we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that it works. It'll be funny at the very least.
Were you involved in the writing of both of those that you're directing too, or?
Yeah, co-wrote the Vampire episode, and Steve and I are actually writing the Clue episode together.
Do you see yourself ever directing an episode that you haven't, where you're just doing the directing?
You know what? I directed a play during the off-season for that exact reason. I wanted to direct something that I didn't write, and it's a completely different animal. And I'm glad I did it. And I wouldn't be opposed to it as a rule. I think if the material speaks and I feel like I can do justice to it and maybe a little bit more, then sure. It's just, especially when you're shooting television and you have to move so quickly, if you wrote it too, then you're sort of cutting out one middleman right there, you know? It's one less person to check in with.
We don't know what Sean's secret is, because that's kind of the show is about being like a detective. What would be Bill's favorite if he actually had a secret he was keeping from all the other characters?
What would his...
What would be a real secret he was keeping, opposed to just being a great detective?
Oh wow, a real secret. Maybe that he has herpes? The guy did a lot of traveling. He was away from Santa Barbara for 5 years. Something tells me that he got into some trouble. Right?
I think that's where it's going to go. Help is not going there.
Yeah, sexually transmitted diseases. That's the future of Psych.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Table 2.